But I do want to touch on Justin Fields. Jerry Dulac said yesterday that he expects Justin Fields to receive maybe a 2-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers after they decline his 5th-year option. I agree with that. I've been saying that for months on the show, is that I think the Steelers are going to look at Justin Fields and try to extend him for a year or two and keep him for much cheaper than the $25 million 5th-year option. Bring him back on a cheaper deal and allow yourself to do things like add an expensive wide receiver or keep TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and Minkah Fitzpatrick and Cam Hayward all on high deals because you don't have a quarterback to pay. And if you could do that for 2 years, I mean, that's a massive move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think Justin Fields is going to get a better opportunity anywhere else in free agency. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are the way to go with this one. 2-year deal. Again, we've talked about this time and time again. You on the same plane here, or you think it's something different?
No, if that's what they end up going with, it's perfect for the Steelers. And if you look at Justin Fields, this is a guy that still has the upside, still has the potential, but at the same time, you already ran through one organization with the Chicago Bears. If you run through a second organization, what are you to the rest of the National Football League? I mean, you look at, it's a much lesser, example, but you look at Mitch Trubisky. This was his second opportunity. What did he do? He fumbled the bag in Pittsburgh. And now what is he? He's going to be a career backup. That was his last chance to be a starter. Now, Fields is a little bit earlier in his career, and he was also set up a little bit worse in Chicago than Trubisky was. So does he have a little bit more runway? Yes, he does. But at the end of the day, like you mentioned, with being able to sit behind Russ and with the team around him that he has right now, this is the best situation that he's going to get to revitalize his career. So signing that extension, especially with the Steelers right now, whenever they have the next 3 or 4 years where they're going to have a lot of talent, they're going to have a good defense. That's the best case scenario for Justin Fields. So I would not be surprised at all if he decides that he wants to be here for the next couple of seasons.
That's my point here is I don't think Justin is going to look at this and say, well, what am I going to do? Go compete somewhere else and hope that I get a bigger bag somewhere? Nobody wants you to be a starter this offseason. Nobody's going to want you to be a starter next offseason. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to give you that opportunity, and you're going to come in here next year, unless Russ works out, and you're going to sign Russ for a boatload of money. But if Russ doesn't, even if Russ does win you a Super Bowl, I think that there's a possibility Justin comes back and is the guy that is viewed as a starter next year. And if you get 2 years, I think 2 years is the perfect amount of time, because you don't put the team in a back against the wall situation where they have to do something like they did with Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, where they have to draft a quarterback. Instead, we got Justin Fields for 2 years. If the Steelers draft a quarterback in this draft, which I somewhat expect them to do, then you're looking at the situation and saying, okay, Justin's our guy for 2 seasons, and we have a backup, and there's no pressure to add anybody else, and we'll see what happens there, and we'll go from there. And I think that works out the best for the Pittsburgh Steelers and for Justin Fields, and I'm very excited about what that could happen. But I've been saying that for weeks. You've been saying that for weeks. It just makes too much sense, and I fully expect it to happen before the season and really before training camp, because I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers want Justin Fields to walk onto that training camp field in Latrobe and ball out and say, I'm the starter, and then his value just shot through the roof. I think that they want a much lesser deal as early as humanly possible, and I expect one to get done.